Okay, guys, thank you so much for getting on with us for lunch today. We're going to talk all about the triplex today. So in case you don't know, my name is Sarah Taylor. I am the leader of Team Taylor, so everybody on this call should be on my team. So welcome and congratulations. We're excited to help you guys along in your health journey and your business journey, if that's what you're here for. But today, we're going to be talking all about the triplex. Triplex is our most popular product combination for a very good reason, and it is the reason that you guys usually see all of those crazy health stories coming out of Plexus and testimonies coming out of Plexus. Basically, Plexus actually just did some clinical studies on it, and it is proven. They did it with the intent to prove that it causes weight loss, and now they're doing more extensive clinical trials on it to prove other things as well. But right now, the results are in, and our clinical studies showed with just knocked it out of the park as far as the weight loss is concerned. And so I want to get on here today and talk to you guys a little bit about, number one, what you guys are taking, what the triplex is, how to talk about the triplex, why the triplex is important, some great troubleshooting tips, and just some great, expectations and things to think about while you're taking the triplex and all of that. So I want to get started with talking about what it is. It's the Slim, the ProBio 5, and the Bio Cleanse. The Slim is the pink drink, obviously, that you guys are familiar with, and that is there to predominantly help with blood sugar regulation. The ProBio 5 and the Bio Cleanse pair along with that, and they are phenomenal for gut health. So why is the triplex important? Why do we need to be, promoting it and talking about it, taking it ourselves? Why has it just pretty much blown Plexus up? And the reason is that the American diet today is so devoid of nutrients and has come so far from what it was, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. It is just full of processed food, full of junk. Even the way that we farm things nowadays has a lot more pesticides in it, and the soil is depleted. There's not as much nutrition in an apple nowadays as there was, way back when. We as Americans just have a very unhealthy and toxic diet, and that leads to a lot of health issues. That leads to our body not being able to function quite the way it was originally intended to, and that leads to issues with blood sugar regulation, issues with gut health, and all of that. So unfortunately, supplementation has become very, very necessary, especially in terms of gut health and in terms of your just daily blood sugar. So some of the basics of gut health is that 80% of your immunity actually resides in your gut, and 80% of your serotonin production also resides in your gut. Those two things are why gut health has become so prominent in the news, why everybody's talking about it, and why a lot of researchers and doctors call it your second brain. Your gut controls so many bodily functions in your body, and basically, if your gut is unhealthy, you're going to feel unhealthy, and you're going to know about it. So a lot of us don't even know how good we should be feeling until we start feeling better. We don't realize just how bad we're feeling at this point in time. So it has just been such, Rebecca, serotonin and my immune system. 80% of your immunity is in your gut, and 80% of your serotonin. So basically, how it gets unbalanced and how you get to that point where your gut is not functioning the way it should be is from the food that we take in, all the toxins and the processed foods and the kind of chemicals and that type of thing that's in the food nowadays, from our environment, from stress, and then definitely from sugar consumption and from medications, steroids, antibiotics, that type of thing. Your gut gets so out of whack when you take an antibiotic, it wipes everything out. You have to kind of think of your gut as a war zone between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And when you take an antibiotic, it wipes everything out. Now, antibiotics are necessary, definitely necessary, not saying not to take them, but when you do, You just have to know what's happening in your gut, and that can lead to an overgrowth of what we call candida. So what is candida? Candida is a yeast or a fungus that resides in your gut, and it actually serves a purpose to help decompose your body when you die. So it does have a purpose, and everybody has it in their body. The problem isn't that we have candida. The problem is that candida takes over, and it takes over very, very easily from all of those things that I just said. Candida feeds on sugar and feeds on anything that converts to sugar in your body. So when we eat those highly processed foods, when we eat lots of carbs, when we drink lots of alcohol, those types of things feed that candida, and it kind of takes over in your gut, and it expands like expandifoam in your gut, and is very opportunistic. And once it kind of takes over, it can lead to so many different issues. I encourage everybody on this call to go and look up what candida overgrowth does and what types of things it can lead to. It has been linked to everything from asthma to digestive disorders, allergies, acne, depression and anxiety, thyroid dysfunction, autoimmune diseases, of course, sugar cravings and insomnia and that type of thing, and lack of energy and inability to lose weight. There's about 50 different things that that it is attributed to. So definitely take a look at that. And one of the major things that candida does is it can actually get into your bloodstream as well. And so it can go throughout your entire body. And so this is something that we definitely want to get taken care of. We want to have a healthy gut, a healthy functioning gut, so that our body can absorb nutrients, so that our body can properly process out all of the waste, so that our body can properly protect itself from different diseases and that sort of thing, so it can work the way that God intended our bodies to work. So we want to get our body back in balance. Candida can also lead to a phenomenon called leaky gut. I know that sounds kind of crazy, and I promise it is a real thing. Look up leaky gut. And what happens there is that the candida is working to kind of break down, the lining of your gut, and it pushes little holes into your gut, and all the little food particles and that type of thing can go out into your body. And that leaky gut is what leads to all of those things that I just mentioned with the candida. So it is definitely something that you want to keep an eye on. And if you have an unbalanced gut, some of the symptoms that you can look for are, the most common ones are sugar cravings, sugar and carb cravings, alcohol cravings, lack of sleep, inability to fall asleep or stay asleep, depression, anxiety, pretty much everything on that list that I just said. So, but one of those really, really, really common things is the sugar consumption and excess sugar and carb cravings. So keep an eye on that. So what does this have to do with the triplex? I want to explain to you guys the purpose behind the triplex and how it works, what it does in your body, and why it is so unique. So what I love about Plexus is that we always handle the foundational reasons why Americans are unhealthy: the blood sugar regulation, the inflammation, the nutritional deficiency, and the gut health. The triplex handles two of those expressly, and then the other two it handles as a kind of a side effect of getting your gut and your blood sugar healthy again, to healthy levels again. So they seriously knocks it out of the park with the blood sugar regulation. The ProBio 5 is one of my absolute favorite products, so I'm going to start there. It is one of the biggest keys as to how your gut gets healthy again. So the ProBio 5 is a very, very unique probiotic, and the reason that it's unique is it's, number one, it's microencapsulated, so it actually gets to the intended target in your gut. It doesn't have to be refrigerated, and that is why. That microencapsulation process is why we don't have to stick it in the fridge, why it can sit in our cabinets, and why it actually gets to its intended target in your body. It is not killed off immediately upon entering your body. So that is a huge, huge, huge thing. Number two, it has an ingredient in it called chitosanase, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. However, that ingredient goes in and it breaks down the candida has kind of like an exoskeleton on it, it's called a chitin layer, and it actually breaks through that outer cell wall of that candida and can get in, and then it kills off. It has antifungals in it as well that actually kill off the candida. So whereas most probiotics are trying to crowd that candida out, this actually goes in and kills it off. Then it has probiotic and digestive enzymes and vitamins that come in behind and repair your gut and restore it exactly to how it should have been. So that ingredient and that antifungal and the chaetosinase are what set our probiotic apart. And then it has 5 different strains of probiotics and digestive enzymes. Those things are absolutely key in a good probiotic. It is the Cadillac of probiotics. I will just interject a personal story in here real quick with you guys. I was diagnosed with an overgrowth when I was 17 years old. I took about 6 rounds of antibiotics because I got very, very sick. And after it was all said and done, I had over 100 canker sores in my mouth. So we had no idea what was going on. We went into the doctor and they told me, you need to get on a probiotic. Well, nothing worked. It was the biggest battle. And until we got to Plexus, I dealt with thrush, I dealt with chronic yeast infections. It never went away. And until I got to Plexus, nothing helped until the ProBio 5. So I am a huge, huge, huge advocate of this product. For me, it changed everything from that perspective. So it definitely has changed my quality of life and definitely has had a very noticeable and direct impact on my health. So that's the ProBio 5. The reason that we always sell the ProBio 5 with the BioCleanse is because the ProBio 5 goes in and it kills off all that candida, right? But candida feeds on dead matter. So you don't want to create a little cycle in your gut. You want to have the BioCleanse, which comes in behind it, and it's very gentle cleanse. You guys know it's not something that you're going to be sitting in the bathroom, unable to leave or anything like that, like those crazy colon cleanses. This is a very gentle cleanse, but it's a very effective one for the purposes that we have. The purpose of getting rid of the candida. And so it goes behind it and it efficiently clears out all that dead candida in a very gentle manner. It is magnesium based and it actually works very, very well to oxygenate your entire body, which has so many health benefits in and of itself. That oxygenation of your brain and all of your organs and your bloodstream helps to break up plaque in your arteries and pathogens in your bloodstream. So it's really, really highly effective for more than just a simple colon cleanse, right? It has so many other health benefits, but it needs to work hand in hand with that ProBio 5. You can take the cleanse on its own, but I don't recommend very often, unless there's a health reason not to not take the ProBio 5 and the BioCleanse together. So always keep that in mind. The Slim is the other part of that, the Triplex. And what the Slim does in relation to gut health is, of course, it helps to balance your blood sugar. That balanced blood sugar helps your body heal. It brings down inflammation in your body. It helps your organs de-stress. It helps your body come out of that high stress mode. Those ups and downs are always going to happen with your blood sugar, but the Slim keeps it more like this instead of those high peaks and high valleys. So that's what we're looking for, is more stabilized blood sugar. This doesn't just lower blood sugar, it stabilizes it. So it brings the lows to be less and the highs to be less, and it comes into more of this kind of a range. So that Slim brings down, as a side effect of that blood sugar regulation, it helps to bring down inflammation in your body, which then helps your body heal, helps your gut heal, helps you shed weight. Inflammation is a very, very scary thing and can lead to a lot of different things. So bringing that inflammation down is very, very key, and getting that blood sugar regulated so that your body is efficiently processing out the toxins in your body as well. Now, that being said, we want to help your body along. We want to help your body to work with these products, right? So we want to be drinking our water when we're taking the Triplex. And the reason being, if you can imagine all of that that's going on inside of your body with it trying to release those toxins, trying to get all the gunk out and everything like that, it needs water to push that through. It needs water to push that along so that your body can expel it. So that water is a very, 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 very key thing that you guys need to be very cognizant of, excuse me. So we will always recommend to drink half your body weight in ounces of water. So a 100-pound person would take in 50 ounces of water a day, that type of thing. So keep that in mind as you're talking to your customers, as you're working on your own, health journey. You want to take that water in. Now, all of this happens, and we want to talk about the troubleshooting, because when you're starting out with Triplex, obviously your body is working very, very hard to repair itself, to heal the gut, heal everything internally, and to get your body back in balance. That is not an overnight thing. And Candida die-off comes with its own set of challenges, okay? So I really want to talk to you guys a little bit in this next section about the Candida die-off. It's a very real thing. So when Candida starts to die off, when the Probio 5 and the BioCleanse start to work and everything is working as it should, die-off is going to happen in your body. And die-off just means that the Candida, as it stands, is already releasing toxic gases into your body just by living in there, okay? But as it dies off, it releases more of those toxic gases than when it did when it was living. This is a temporary thing, and this can cause more things to pop up. So you could get some an increase in, a skin rash. You could get some acne. You could maybe have a yeast infection if you're somebody that's prone to that. All those types of things. Your sugar cravings could increase. You guys, this means that it's working. This means that you are fighting through that Candida overgrowth, and you're going to see the other side. So you have to work through it. This isn't, a lot of people see that increase in sugar cravings and think, well, Plexus is doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do. That's not the case. That means that your overgrowth is being fought and your body is, it's happening in there. But there are certain things that we can do to help ease you through that process. So number one, you want to look at what you're eating, okay? Are you feeding the Candida or are you fighting it? Are you eating lots of sugar, lots of breads, lots of carbs, lots of processed foods? If you're going through bad die-off and you're seeing that, you don't want to extend that process. You want to not feed that Candida, okay? So you want to look at your food intake and try and eat some lean proteins, clean eating, that type of thing. Look up the Candida diet online and see what kinds of foods to avoid, what kinds of foods to eat, that type of thing. Second, make sure you got your water that we talked about. And then third, if you're going through really, really hard die-off where you're getting symptoms that are not just sugar cravings and that kind of thing, but symptoms that are causing a quality of life issue for you, then you want to drop down the Probio 5 and raise up the BioCleanse. You want to get that stuff out of there as quickly as you possibly can. As you drop down the Probio 5, it's still going to be working. You're not stopping the Probio 5. So the Probio 5 is still working in your gut, but you're raising up your water intake and your BioCleanse so that it can more efficiently get it out as it's killed off. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But you want that to start getting out of there quickly. So that's the way to troubleshoot if you're starting to feel very, very uncomfortable, getting horrible headaches or anything like that. We want to ease you through that process. We don't want to make it a painful process, okay? So what to expect as far as die-off goes, we can't give you a timeline. And that's why one of the things we always say is to pay attention to your body. Pay attention to what's happening. Are you seeing sugar cravings increase and then decrease? Are you seeing more energy suddenly and that kind of thing? That might mean that you're on the backside of the die-off, and then you might be able to move into maintenance phase. But this is a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-reflection, and a lot of thinking about what's happening with your body, okay? So expectations as far as this goes. You may feel worse before you feel better. Not everybody does, but you may feel worse before you feel better, and that is to be expected. Your body is working very, very hard to heal and to get all this junk out of there, okay? And you may gain weight before you lose weight, and there's a number of reasons this happens. This happened to me as well. I gained weight before I hit my ideal weight, and I did go on to hit my ideal weight and lost all of that weight. But One of the biggest things that the reasons that this happens is that you're rehydrating your body. You are suddenly taking in a lot more water than you're probably used to, and your muscles are sucking in that water and holding on to that water, which increases your metabolism, but it also increases that weight on the scale. You'd be surprised at how much water your muscles actually need to work properly. And your body, as it rehydrates, it's gonna, that water weighs a little bit, and it's going to show on the scale. Second, you might be increasing your metabolism, and so you might be eating a little bit more. That's going to be a temporary thing. You need to eat when you're hungry. This is not a starvation diet. We want to feed that metabolism, but we want to feed it with the right foods. So keep that in mind as well. Third, you also are going to be producing more waste than normal, okay? And if you're not fully cleaning all of that out, you might get a little bit bloated. You might be carrying a little bit more waste along, in your body. And so that's also going to increase the scale. Those are the reasons that we always tell everybody to stay off the scale for the first 30 days. Don't even look at it. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention to what your body is doing. Pay attention to how you're looking. Pay attention to your inches and that type of thing. And for your own sanity, I want you guys to always, always, always encourage your customers and yourself to get on the scale in the beginning, right when you're going to start. Take your measurements and then wait for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, then hop on the scale again, take your measurements again, and then do that every 30 days. Do not live and die by the scale, you guys. The scale is not your friend in this situation. You will lose that weight. Absolutely you will, but you've got to stick to the process, and you've got to give it at least 90 days. This process is not a quick overnight process, as you can imagine. There's a lot that goes into it, and one of the biggest keys that you can do for yourself is be consistent. So what I always like to tell my customers and ambassadors when they're starting, start out with that slim. Make sure you take that slim every single day. Second, then start with the BioCleanse first. Start with just one pill at night, and then wait a couple days, see how that works, then add in the ProBio 5. Add it one at a time, slowly ease your way into this, and work your way up to 3 or 4 ProBio 5s a night. That is what you're going to be working towards in that die-off phase. So as this all starts to come full circle within that first 90 days, then you can start to ease back off that if you like. I found that my maintenance dose is 4 ProBio 5 at night, and that's just what works for me. I am very, very, very prone to candida overgrowth, unfortunately. And so that's just what I have to do to keep it at bay. That's what I have to do to make sure that it works for me. So let's see. I think that's about it as far as that goes. I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about the gut health portion, about everything like that. I'm going to turn off the recording, and I'm going to start taking questions and unmute you.